I love HOAs, said nobody ever. The one thing that I never hear in Las Vegas is, thank goodness for my HOA. So there's this house making waves on Reddit here in Las Vegas on Amigo, and it is a sight to behold. So the question is, can an HOA regulate that? What can an HOA do, and how can you stop the HOA? The short answer is the HOA can absolutely regulate that. Probably no HOA there, or else they already would have done it, but an HOA has the right to control the aesthetics of its neighborhood. But there are some things that Reddit likes to say that you can do to really bother the HOA. So let's cover a few of these Reddit theories on what you can do to your HOA. Reddit theory number 1, build a bat house. They're endangered species, and if they move in, the HOA can't do anything about it. Well, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Maybe the HOA could probably regulate the aesthetic of the bat house, but if they don't do that before the bats move in, that does raise an interesting question. But the next question is, do you really want the bat house in your yard? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I'm going to give that one a maybe. Reddit theory number 2. If you want to annoy your HOA, borrow a couple of really aggressive dogs and keep them in your garage when the HOA is inspecting. There are some problems with that. If you're keeping that dog and you know that it's going to hurt somebody, and you know that person's going to be visiting the property and they have the right to visit that property, then you are also opening yourself up to a lawsuit. But it's a good thing you're in the HOA because it implies that you're a homeowner, which means you probably have homeowner's insurance, and the homeowner's insurance would cover that dog attack. But regardless, probably a bad idea. Reddit theory number 3, install a clothesline, they can't stop you. So the theory behind this one is that a homeowners association is prohibited from stopping you from installing a solar system. There's a statute on that. And the person who wrote this has the theory that a clothesline uses solar power to dry the clothes, and thus is a solar system that cannot be regulated. Unless there's something more to it than that, and some statute I haven't read yet, I'm going to give that one a thumbs down. The reason is you can't just take a statute and say it could be interpreted this way, and therefore it will be interpreted this way. You have to look at the actual statute and think, what did the legislature intend to mean when they passed that statute? And when you look at that statute, it's referring to solar panels. And the legislature, who was talking about the inability of HOAs to prevent solar panels from going up on the roof, presumably was not thinking about clotheslines. And you can say all you want, it's going to, and that you are, that solar power, but at the end of the day, I don't think a judge is going to support you on that one. If HOA regulates it because they can regulate the aesthetics, then I think you probably lose. Thank you, Reddit. Reddit theory number 4. Annoy your HOA by installing a satellite dish. You could. They are prohibited from regulating satellite dishes, but there's a size limit. You can't just get one that's 20 feet wide to bother the HOA. Not that you'd want that anyway. But smaller satellite dishes, they cannot regulate. They could regulate if it is a safety issue or if you're in a historic district, but they cannot just regulate your ability to have a satellite itself. But remember, HOAs are petty, and they could try to find something to regulate. So for example, they might try to regulate the color of the cable or the cord that you're using with a satellite dish. So if you think that's going to annoy your HOA and you really want the satellite dish, I guess go for it. A fight with your HOA can be a very expensive and kind of dangerous perspective. When they're fining you and you don't pay that fine, they can put a lien on your house and it becomes what they call a super priority or super powered lien. Eventually they could even foreclose on your house based on your failure to pay that lien. And while your payment of the lien can always cure that foreclosure before it happens, there are instances where people haven't, and they've found themselves out of a house because they fought their HOA. The other issue is HOAs do tend to put attorney's fees on that lien, and so if you're going to mess with them, be careful. Listen, I don't like my HOA. One of my neighbors is our president, and I like my neighbor, but the organization is kind of obnoxious, but do be careful when you're intentionally starting a fight.